Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. And today I have a very exciting video for you because I'm gonna be updating my Those Eyeshadows. And we're gonna be looking at how this past month has been for me and how many pans I've been able to hit. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. In case you're new here, hi, my name is Sasha. I love indie makeup, I love colorful makeup, I love eyeshadows. I love panning. I've been so obsessed with it. And I'm currently doing multiple different projects like Those palettes, Those eyeshadows, Project Level Up, and a couple other different projects. So if you want to check that out, obviously we'll link a couple of those playlists down below. And I'll just jump right into it. So I always have 5 shades. First 3 are rolled randomly with random number generator from shades that are in a palette that I want to either use up or hit a ban on this year. So they're kind of like, it's like another motivation for me to actually move through my like Those Eyeshadows and other project bans. Then one is a completely random number from my entire collection. And then one is one of the prompts from Lainey's channel, I think. So we're always working on 5 eyeshadows. I will pop in the photo of swatches from last month, and I will also pop in all the shade names. And I have a very exciting news because 2 of the eyeshadows that you see right in front of you right now are completely gone from my collection. I was able to completely use them up. And I want you to pause this video right now and try to guess in the comments down below which of the 2 I was able to completely use up. So I will give you a minute and take your best shot. Okay, so now let's look at where we are with my entire collection. So first shade that has been here since the beginning of April, so it has been here for 2 months, is the shade Matcha Cookie, which is from the Merry Christmas palette by Udens Eye. I have had it repressed here in this Earth palette that I finished last year, and now I'm using it just as like a storage container. And as you can see, it's done. There's like a little bit here, but I wasn't able to pick it up on a brush. Like I think it just hard panned and it just like stuck to the pan. But yeah, the pan is unusable. I actually used this shade today for the last time. I have it all around my eyes, like literally the whole crease, full on eyelid, all over the waterline, or like the lower lash line, sorry, and in my brows mixed in with a purple to create a brown, which is exactly how I've been using it for the past month, is in my brows. And at least like for 10 days I was also using it as like the main shade all around my lid and the crease to like really use it up, because I decided with the last update that I really want to get rid of this eyeshadow because I've been working on it for a very long time and it's just been a real struggle. I love this shade. I love the way it looks, but I have many similar eyeshadows or very close dupes of this in my collection, and I would really like to have a progress on my Those palettes, and I would like to completely use up the Merry Christmas palette and the Christmas Eve this year. I was slightly hoping that I would be able to do it last year, but that was like crazy goal because I would never be able to do that. It is a big palette, both of them, like it's 32 shades in total, so yeah, that is just like insane idea. But this year I have a really good shot because I only have like what, I've had 17 shades left from both of them together at the beginning of the year, I believe. So yeah, now it should be really easy, and obviously like it's not like a full shade, it's just the rest of what was left. So the shade Matcha Cookie, when I wrote it in on the 6th of April, there was 28 uses in this shade, so I've used it 28 times. Currently we're at 64 uses, and I would count one use if I just did like one look with that eyeshadow. So if I would use it like today on the lid and in the brows, it's just one use, even though I technically use it for like two different purposes. Is that the right word? I don't know. So yeah, so technically probably would be more. And yeah, since the last since 2 months ago, there's like what, 36 uses added to this eyeshadow, which is insane. It's more than it had previously. And the reason why I decided to use it up is because even though it didn't have a pan in this container, it had a pan in the original eyeshadow palette that I kind of depotted that from. So, and kind of my rule is if that shade never had a pan, then I'm just trying to pan it. If it already had a pan, even if it's repressed, then I have to use it up completely. That's kind of the rule. Or I can just use it 20 times because that's also what this project allows me to do. But I decided that I want to move, that I want to kind of have a progress on my Panda palette, so I used it up completely. And I also used up the shade next to it, which was the best switch, because I always use them together. The Matcha Cookie was really nice to blend out with the shade best, which was like a super pastel-y pistachio color. And 2 months ago, this palette weighed 106.86 grams, and now it weighs 106.06 grams. So I was able to use up 0.8 grams of eyeshadow, and I think that makes sense because the full eyeshadow it's like 1.15 grams, if I remember that correctly. Like, I know it's more than a gram per each pan for the original palette, and this had like half the pan of this and then just like barely any product in the best wish. So I think 0.8 grams is a very like accurate measurement. I think I've used like maybe this dark shades twice and this like maybe twice as well, so that doesn't really change anything. So yeah, we're completely done with this shade. Is one of those that I was able to completely use up. Then the second shade that has also been here from the beginning of April is the shade Snowflake, and the shade Snowflake is from the Christmas Eve palette by Udens Eye, and I don't have that shade. I haven't had that shade in a while. In the original pan, I decided to repress it and like franken it with one of the shades from the Tinkerbell palette by Colourpop, and it's the shade Neverland, and it was in this pan. And as you can see, the pan is gone. I had like a really good progress 2 days ago, so then I decided to use a lot of it on my nails, on my toenails. And then there was just like a little bit around the edges. So today when I did this look, I decided to use it all over the lid, and then I just topped another shimmer over that to make it lighter. So this is the second shade that I was able to completely use up. And the Snowflake shade originally was like a silvery shimmer. So 2 months ago it had 34 uses, and now it has 53. So I've used it 19 times. And we started at 2.41 grams, and now it has 1.46 grams. So I assume that that's just the weight of the pan. And I was able to use up a gram, or like almost a gram of product. It's like what, 0.95? I don't know. I don't want to count right now. So that's really exciting, and another shade that is completely gone from my collection, and I will never have to work on it again. It's not that it was bad, but the shade Snowflake was kind of chunky, and I don't wear silver shimmers all that much, even though lately I've been kind of enjoying them, but they have to be like a soft sparkly formula. I don't like chunky formulas. And the shade Neverland, it's a Colourpop shimmer, and if you know me, you know that that just will not cut it, because they're more like satiny than sparkly, and I just like sparkle. Okay, so for me that was by the way, if you're interested in what I'm wearing on today, I mixed these shades with the Avatar The Last Airbender from Little. This is the Earth palette. So I just have like this 575 to kind of like soften up the shade Matcha Cookie, and I have Amashu to deepen it up in the outer corner. And then I have Kiyoshi in the first like half or maybe like 2/3 of the lid. And then this inner corner is, I think it's called Starry Sky. It's the highlight, it's the central highlight shade from the Solmane 2 palette, from the like colorful one from 3 years ago, I think. So just in case you're interested. Then a shade that has been here from last month, so that was from the 3rd of May. I'm actually filming this on the 3rd, but I don't think I'm posting it until like a couple days later, so yeah, I'm slightly pre-filming. So the first one, which was the previous two were just like the random number from the palettes that I want to pan. Then another random number from the palettes that I want to pan is from the Beauty Bay Mini Charms palette, which is here in this project for the second time, because in the first, I think from the introduction or from the first update, we rolled this shade, which has been done really easily. And then last month I rolled in this shade, which is called Eclipse. And this shade had only had one use prior, because I only used it for my initial review of this palette. And since then I haven't really focused on it, because I'm usually not into these like deep gray shades. If it's like a soft, light, silvery one, sure, but these dark ones I rarely do use. And this one is like a gray to like soft kind of pinky purple, but I used it a lot actually with these greens to kind of like deepen out the outer part of my lid. And I would use smaller brush because it is like I usually use it on like a larger area, but I needed to slowly build it up and like slowly kind of expand. So I would use small brush, and it didn't take that long. We started at 1 use, and now we're at 7 uses, and we're done with it because there's a pan. So it didn't take long. I know that the shade right next to it also didn't take long. I think this one took 6 uses, and the shade Cosmic, I think it took like 7 or 8, and I used that a lot as a face highlighter, so I'd use like a bigger brush. So obviously with smaller brush it would be less, it would take less uses. But this palette started at 64.54 uses, and now we're at 64.52 grams, which I don't know if that makes sense, because I feel like I've used the other shades too, not that much, but I think I've used all the other shades at least once, apart from this one, because it's very similar to the shade Eclipse, and I've used this shade many, many, many times, like probably like 10 times, so it just kind of feels weird. And I was wearing this palette in the morning, so let me actually try to weigh it again. Yeah, no, now it says 64.48, and that seems a little bit more believable. So I guess we're gonna count that, which means I was able to use 0.06 grams, which makes a lot more sense. So that's for this one, and we can roll it out because it's finished. Then from the prompts, from the Lainey's prompts, it shows the prompt shade starting with letter S, so I decided to use the shade Snowlight, which is from the Christmas Eve palette. I had very little of that shade left, and it was actually repressed in this pan, which was in the Frog's Tale palette by MIYO. Technically, that means that I have used this shade up, right? There's a little bit, like very little, frankened with another shade I don't know in which palette, but yeah, technically this one is also used up. So I used up 3 shades completely with this, within this month. So yeah, the shade Snow Light, and as you can see, the pen is gone. There's like a little bit of dirt here, but this is very flaky shade. So if I'm gonna try to pick this up on a brush to use it, it will just end up on the floor and not on my eyes. So what's the point, right? So yeah. But yeah, that one is also gone. And we started at 36 uses, and it took me 10 uses to use it up. So 46. And I would use it once on my nails. Like I think I used that on like 2 of my nails, because I never have the same nails. I always have like at least 3 different colors there. So once on the nails, and then the rest was on my eyes, usually like in the inner corner and then like in the first third. Once I think I used it all over the lid. And this pad was at 161.72 grams, and now it's at 161.47 grams. So I was able to use up 0.25 grams, I think, if I'm counting correctly. And that makes sense. There was like just a very small layer of that product, and yeah, it only took 10 uses to get rid of it. So another shade from my like Those palettes gone. And then the last shade was the random number generator from my entire collection, and it actually picked the Cosmic Beauty Muse palette, and the shade was called Amethyst, which is like a really deep shimmery purple, and it's very like jelly like, well, not jelly like, but it's one of those like squishy shades. So I actually used that at least like 2 times, I think 3 times. I've used it 3 times as an eyeliner, and then kind of all over my lower lash line, because these don't, because they're slightly more squishy and more like, they hold more together. You don't have any fallout with that. So it's perfect if you want like a shiny liner or very precise areas of these like shiny shades. It's super easy to use it, and yeah, no mess, no fallout. And as you can see, there's a pen. It's really easy. I already have a pen in one of my Cosmic Beauty shades. It's from the Delicious Delights, and it's the shade, I think it's Frosting. It's like a purpley lavender shimmer. So I know it takes like less than 10 uses of that eyeshadow to have a pen. So obviously, and especially since I used it as an eyeliner, it was very, very easy to do. So this one we started at 3 uses, and now we're at 7. And there's quite a nice pan. Like, it's not as tiny as I remembered it to be. I think I just kind of thought that it's gonna be like super small, but it's actually like a nice pan. And this palette had 208.79 grams, and now it has 208.77 grams. So I was able to use up 0.02 grams, which, I mean, like, there's only 4 uses of this eyeshadow. So, and I haven't used the rest of the shades. Maybe once the shade Luster in the inner corner, but I'm not completely sure if I'm not confusing that with another month. So yeah, not a lot of use of this palette, but I've just been working on so many other palettes that I didn't have time to squeeze it in. I was still hoping that I'm gonna, and then I hit the pan, and I was just like, well, now it's kind of done, and I didn't really feel the motivation to use it because I already hit the pan in the shade that I was using it for, you know. So yeah, but there's a good chance that we're gonna pick this again at some point in the year, so I'm gonna still have time to use it, or I'm gonna put it in some of my seasonal collections to like motivate myself to use this one. So if you've been paying attention, you would have known that we're starting over completely because all of the shades are done, and I didn't think that that's gonna be possible. And then like 10 days ago, I realized that I only have 3 shades left. It was the 2 greens that were here for 2 months, the matcha cookie and the snowflake. and then the Eclipse shade from the Mini Charms palette. And I knew that the Mini Charms will be really easy, so I focused on that, hit that goal, and then realized we still have like almost 2 weeks. If I'm like really gonna focus, like put everything I have into using these shades, I could actually finish them, because honestly I've been working on them for so long, not just in this project but in other projects, that the prospect that they would be completely gone was just too exciting not to try that. Am I slightly like bored of green? Well, I'm never bored of green, but I definitely don't need to wear green eyeshadows all that much now. I think it's just gonna be for days when I'm really like, when I really need to be out the door immediately, and this is like something that I can do in 2 minutes and just be gone. But otherwise I don't really want to recreationally wear green for at least a month. So we're gonna be starting over. So we're gonna start, I think I want to start with the prompts, because that's just like a really fun thing to do. And I don't know how many prompts there are. I always forget the number. 82. It's 82. So let me get my how's the app called? Pretty Random, right? That's the app. So I put the numbers between 1 and 82. So let's try that. Is it 18? Yeah, so from the prompts, it's gonna be number 18. And number 18 is Duochrome Shimmer. Yeah, that's gonna be super easy. Okay, so the first prompt is, or like the prompt is Duochrome Shimmer. So I'm gonna look for it in a minute. Now, random shade from my entire collection. So my entire collection currently has, I've been adding some new palette here. So it is 1027. If I count correctly, yeah. So the max number will be 1027. So let's pick a random number, random shade from my entire collection. Is it 933? Oh god, this is gonna be one of the newer ones. I don't know if I'm ready for it. If it's gonna be something that I'm really not ready for, then we're just not gonna do it. So 933 is the shade Monger Moss. That's from the Nomad Route 66 palette. Yeah, I'm not ready to hit a pan on that palette. It's a very new palette, and I know it's a shimmer shade, or I do believe it's a shimmer shade, because it's like it's like halfway in the list, and I have them in order how they are kind of in the palette, so it should be shimmer. But I'm not ready to hit a pan on that one, so we're gonna re-roll. I haven't re-rolled yet since the beginning of this project, so okay, so hello. Okay, so this shade is gonna be, this is the shade Neptune, and I think it's from the new Solmane palette by Those Eye. So let me try to find that one to see which one it is. Okay, I just want to check. I mean, it's a shimmer. It's this shade. Do we really want this shade? I'm gonna try it. And the rule is either hit a pan or 20 uses, so that should be doable. So yeah, Neptune from the Solmane Moon Wish, Moon Wish palette. And then from my collection of eyeshadows that I wanna hit a pan or use up, we have 102 eligible shades. So the max is 102, and we need 3 shades. So the first one is number 28, and 28 is Fog from the Frog's Tail palette. Then next up we have 5. 5 is Nebula from the original Solmane 2, which I think is the deep. Okay, so I think that one is like a deep matte blue, but we'll check that afterwards. And now let's get the last shade. 59. And 59 is called Pixie Dust, and it's from the Tinkerbell palette. God, this is gonna be so hard. So I'm back. I picked all the shades. I have them already, and I weighed them down to know what we're working with. So the first one, it was the Proms, and it was the duochrome shimmer. So I decided to pick the Beauty Bay Mini Charms, and I decided to pick this shade called Aurora. It has like a pink base, but then like a bluey shine to it. It flips really nicely. So yeah, I just thought that that one would be like a really nice one. And currently I've used this one 9 times, and this palette currently weighs 64 grams, 48. And the swatch isn't really working because I didn't took any of the shade. So this is how this one looks like. I'm gonna also pop in a picture, but yeah, it's a gorgeous, and you can see like it is really beautiful. It has even like a little bit of green in it. It's a very stunning shade that I am enjoying a lot, and I use it not just on my eyes but also like on the brow bone as a cheek highlighter. So that's the shade Aurora for the prompt, because I always, if I can pick the prompts from the pads that I actually want to hit pan on, then obviously I'm gonna do it. Then we have the random number from my entire collection, and it was the Solmane 2 Moonwish palette, and it was the shade Neptune, which is this shimmery blue. And this palette doesn't have that many uses. I haven't really used it all that much for whatever reason. I don't know. I think it was at the time that I was reviewing a lot of other products, and this shade particularly was only used twice. And this palette currently weighs 147.95 grams. So it's a beautiful, like super vibrant blue shimmer. Like, do you see that? And these two will be so beautiful together. That's kind of why I decided to pick that. Like, it's so gorgeous. This color story already will be so much different from the rest from the beginning of the year, because I've always had to deal with like a lot of greens, you know. So then from the random number from the pads that I want to hit pan on or use up, it picked the shade Fog, which is from this Frog's Tail palette, and the Fog is actually this beautiful pastely blue. I love that it picked this shade because the shade is actually really pretty, and I do really like it. I haven't hit pan on any of these mattes, but the pans aren't too deep. Like, they're not too shallow either, but they're not too deep. So it shouldn't be that hard, I hope. But this one currently has 4 uses on it, and I haven't swatched it correctly, but it has 4 uses on it. And this palette currently weighs 161.47 grams, so we'll see how far we're gonna get with this one. I hope you're gonna see the swatch. But yeah, it's a beautiful pastel blue. It looks wonderful on the eyes. It doesn't swatch the best, but it looks actually really nice on the eyes. And how much are these shades? I think each shade is 1.3 grams, so we'll see how long it will take to actually hit pan. I will try to hit pan on this one because I think it should be doable in the 20 uses, since it already has like 4 on it. So that's one of the shades. Then the next shade was the shade Nebula from the original Solmane Moon, and Nebula is this deep blue, so it will fit wonderfully with this color story. So this is Nebula. It is my least used shade in this entire palette, and it's my least preferred shade in this palette. But Nebula, I've already used it 13 times. It has like a itty bitty dip, like nothing major, just like the smallest little dip happening. Maybe you'll see it in the photos. I will try to capture it, but yeah, it's nothing major because I really don't use this shade a lot, especially because when I bought this palette, I wasn't into blues. I was just like dabbing my fingers in that, and I just now I'm a lot more into blues, and now I think I could actually really like it because this is exactly the type of deep blue that I do enjoy. It is pretty much the same as one of the deep potted shades from the Christmas Eve palette that I'm trying to use up, and that one I have very little of that eyeshadow, so I'm probably gonna like mix and match both of them. But it fits wonderfully with this color story, and that's really cool because then technically, like, if I'm gonna do a blue look, I don't know, like 5-6 times next month, I could get a good use on all of these shades. So that's for Nebula, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but it has currently 13 uses on it, and the palette weighs 150.94 grams. So that's this one. And then the last shade was the shade Pixie Dust, which is from this Tinkerbell palette by Colourpop. As you can see, this palette is kind of, you know, I've completely used up the shade Think. I've used up the shade Neverland. That was the like Franken shade with the snowflake that we used up this month. This one I have in a BYOP right now. This one as well. So yeah, so it's kind of strange, but Pixie Dust already had a pan on it. I had to repress this shade because it's kind of been like really, I don't know, like it keeps shattering on me for some reason. Like it's not a very stable formula. And yeah, so I had to repress it, but this palette already had a pan, which means I have to use this one up, which is great because it's one of the shades that I've been meaning to, use up. And as you can see, it's a beautiful green. Like it's not sparkly the way that I would like it, but honestly it fits this color story so nicely. I love doing these like peacocky looks, so this is genuinely wonderful. And this already has 17 uses on it. The amount of eyeshadow in the pan is actually not that a lot. Like I've used up majority of that. The pan, when it had a pan, it was like pretty decent. Like it was like half of the surface pretty much, so there's not that much of eyeshadow left in this pan, and it gives me hope that within the 20 uses I could probably use it up. So yeah, that's what we're working with, and this shade currently weighs 2.42 grams because these are magnetic, so you can take them out. So the entire pan weighs 2.42 grams, and usually the pan itself, like the metal part, weighs at least a gram. So yeah, we'll see. But the full eyeshadow from Colourpop should be a gram if I remember that correctly. So yeah, we don't have that much left. So that's the last look at this color story. And I'm really happy that it kind of corresponds. Because yeah, I can definitely create like a full look with these. I have 2 mattes and 3 shimmers, one inner corner, one like deeper in the crease and one lighter in the crease, and it's gonna create like a beautiful green blue peacocky look, which I love to do. So yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna be able to use this look at least like, I don't know, let's say I'm gonna try to use all of them 5 times for like a one cohesive look, and I think that could really give me a good head start for this project. But I don't think I'm gonna be able to you know, have too much progress within a month. I think the first shade should be doable. Maybe the shade Fog, the matte light blue. Maybe those two we could roll out next month, but we'll see. Let me know what you think about this color story, and if you think I'm gonna be able to have a successful journey in the next month. And let me know how you're doing with your penning progress. It doesn't have to be pen those eyeshadows, just, what was like the last thing that you hit pan on? I would really appreciate you letting me know. And with that being said, I'm just gonna say my goodbyes. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. So, bye!